KBOI 2 News this morning.
6:13 in Idaho, children victimized by sex trafficking are at risk of being criminalized. KBOI 2's Abigail Taylor tells us how under current laws, they can be deemed as prostitutes.
It's happening right under our noses. Children being exploited for sex. Yet it's almost impossible to spot.
It's not going to be the child that is willingly raising their hand and saying, I'm a victim of sex trafficking, please help me.
Idaho is one of 27 states where victims of child sex trafficking can be charged with a crime. Here's why. Idaho's prostitution laws are not limited to adults. That leaves room for minors to be charged for prostitution. While Idaho does have laws aimed at protecting victims of sex trafficking, there remains that contradiction on the books.
In one section of the law, they're recognized as victims of a heinous crime, and on the other side, underneath the prostitution statute, they're still recognized as offenders.
What impact does having the ability to hold something like that over their head have on their willingness to come forward?
Sure. Well, I mean, what we're seeing is that it solidifies that trauma bond that a minor actually has with their trafficker. Traffickers actually use that as a way to ensure that minors are not running, that they're not self-identifying, that they're not reporting their victimization. And so if a trafficker is saying, if you disclose, you'll be prosecuted and I'm going to get off, and then that actually happens, law enforcement has solidified every single thing that trafficker has told the minor for so many years.
In Idaho, laws do not prohibit a defense based on consent of the minor. In other words, a sex trafficker could be let go just by somehow showing the minor agreed to it. So sex traffickers and facilitators can get away scot-free, even as the child victim faces prosecution.
This has oftentimes been a tactic for prosecutors and investigators to hold charges over a minor's head, to have them cooperate with investigations and the prosecutions of their traffickers.
Shared Hope International launched a campaign earlier this year called Stop the Injustice. Its goal is to mobilize states like Idaho that have yet to remove criminal liability for minors under the prostitution statute. As we speak, they're helping draft new bills that would rectify this. In the meantime, there are ways you can help.
Having a conversation in your community, in your neighborhood, in your school, with your faith community, whatever it is, all of those little conversations add up. And, as our founder always says, the more people that know about this, the smaller the world becomes for those who are perpetrators of this crime.
Although these kind of prosecutions are rare, Shared Hope International says it is still important to amend the laws and remove the stigma placed on victims. There's a subcommittee here in Idaho that is part of that fight to change legislation.